Hello, my name is Alana Reed. I am a Pilates instructor in New York City, and I'm going to be demonstrating the chopped exercises for POTS. I'm going to go in the order of the exercises that's recommended by the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. These are not my exercises. These were the exercises that the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia came up with. These are the strength training exercises. One thing before we begin that I think is important to note is if you read through the literature that the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia created, they mention that it's important that you know that it's okay not to get through all of the exercises at first, to progress slowly through the exercises. It's not intended that you do all of the sets and all of the exercises all at once. So keep that in mind as we work, because these exercises are challenging. So what we'll need today for the workout, I'm using a mat, but you can do these exercises anywhere where you can lay flat. I'm going to use a small purple exercise ball. This one is called a triad ball. It's a Pilates purple ball. I'm going to be using a looped band. This is not necessary to use today. Also, if you don't have an exercise ball, you could also use a pillow or an exercise ring, anything that you could put between your knees to squeeze. You could also use a chair or a giant exercise ball, a physio ball. Some people call them a Swiss ball. Those are all things that could come in handy today. So the first exercise we're going to do is the bridge. So I'm just going to keep my props close by, and I'm going to lie down on my back. My feet are flat down on the mat. My arms are pressing down by my sides. I'm going to lift my hips up off the ground so that my body forms a straight diagonal line from knees to shoulders. I'm going to hold it here and then roll all the way down. I'm pulling my abs in as my hips lift up off the floor and roll down, and we lift. So in the description of this bridge, it's supposed to be a straight diagonal line. So in other forms of exercise, like in yoga, for example, oftentimes the shoulder blades come together and the ribs are lifted. But in this one, you're trying to keep your abdominals in and keep your body in a straight diagonal line. We're moving slowly and we're holding the movement at the top. And then we roll down and we lift up and roll all the way down. So we'll be doing 3 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions. So that was set number 1. And we're ready to go again. Start to curl the tailbone up, abs are pulling in, and roll all the way down. What's really nice about bridges is really you can do this at any height and there's a lot of benefit. Typically, bridges are meant to work the glutes or the backs of the thighs, the hamstrings, and the abdominals. If you're feeling this in your lower back, sometimes a little modification is to just make your bridge a little smaller. So you don't lift up quite so high, just lift the hips up off the ground. And just a reminder, if this doesn't feel good, then leave it out today. And this is the last one. And roll down. So that was set number 2. You'll notice my arms are pressing down into the floor. My gaze is straight up at the ceiling. Abs are pulling in, and we're ready for set number 3. We're going to roll up and roll all the way down and roll up and roll down and roll up. So in the description that CHOP gives of this bridge, it recommends squeezing the glutes as you roll up and roll down and roll up and hold and roll all the way down. And we're going to do 2 more like this. Roll up and hold and roll all the way down. And last time, roll up and hold and roll all the way down. Go ahead and roll over to your side, come up to sitting, and hop up onto your chair or your ball for the seated ball exercises. For the seated ball exercises, instead of a ball, you could always use a chair. I don't have a ball at home, so I'm going to use a chair. I'm going to start off sitting up very tall, abdominals are pulled in, and my legs are at about a 90-degree angle, so my feet are right underneath my knees are in line with my hips. I'm going to cross my arms over my chest. We're going to start off marching, lifting one leg and then the other. So the goal in this marching is for it to look as though nothing in your body is moving but your legs. So we're going to do 8 to 10 sets. So this is number 6, 7, 8. Good, and we'll rest for a moment. Now we're ready to continue. So sit up nice and tall, abdominals pulled in, hands are across the chest, and we lift one leg up and then the other. The most common issue I see in this exercise is it's tempting to lean backwards as the leg lifts. So try to sit right on top of your hip, so it may feel a little bit like you're leaning forward slightly. And I think we have 2 more sets here. And last time. Good, and rest for a moment. And we're ready for our last set of marching. So arms cross, abs are in, chest is lifted, your gaze is looking straight ahead, and we lift one foot and then the other. So that's one set. 2, 3. So now you should really be fighting for your posture. 4. Abs are pulling in. 5. Shoulders are nice and relaxed. 6, 7. So this should be felt in the front of the thigh or in the crease of the thigh. And this is the last set. And rest for a moment. So next we start off similar to the march. We're going to lift one foot up, and then we extend the leg out straight, bend the knee, and put the foot down. And we'll switch sides. So we lift, extend, and hold, bend, and put it down. And we lift, extend, bend, and lower down. So we're moving a little more slowly here. We're taking a hold at the top of the exercise. And again, this exercise is meant to be work for the front of the leg, or the top of the leg, I should say, like the quad or the hip flexor. It's not uncommon to also feel a little stretch in the back of the leg. In this one too, there's a tendency to lean backwards when the leg lifts and you extend, so try to stay right over your hip. And we're going to do one more. And rest for a moment. So we have 2 more sets of these. So we sit up nice and tall. Arms are on the sides of the ball or sides of the chair, and we lift one foot up, extend the leg, hold, bend, and lower down. Lift, extend, and hold. Try to be your tallest self. Good, we'll keep going. So it's going to be most challenging if you can move slowly in this. That's it. So if my counting is correct, this is set number 5. Keep growing tall. Good. So in this, you want to keep your chest lifted. Your gaze is looking straight ahead. As we become tired, sometimes the posture starts to sink. So really grow tall and dig into this one because we're almost finished. And one last set. Very good, and those were our seated ball exercises. Next we have our straight leg raises. So we'll start off looking up at the ceiling. You want to make sure there's no tension in your neck, your chest is open, and you're going to extend one leg out to the height of the ankle. We're going to lift the leg up to the height of the knee and slowly lower to the height of the ankle. So that's the movement. We lift the knee up to the height of the knee and then down to the height of the ankle. And we'll continue like this. So your abdominals are pulling in the whole time. You're trying hard to keep your torso very still so that the torso doesn't move with the leg. So it's tempting to let the back lift as the leg lowers, but instead we're trying to keep the back very still, almost pulling the abdominals down toward the floor. And now we're ready to switch legs. So like most of these exercises, we're going to do 3 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions. So we'll start off extending the other leg out to the height of the ankle, and we'll lift it up to the height of the knee and then lower down to the height of the ankle. And we lift it up and lower down and lift it up and lower down. We'll keep moving like this, lift it up and lower down. So there's a little pause at the top, and lower down and lift it up and lower down. We'll take just 3 more and lower, 2 and lower, and last time, and lower. Bend the knee in, and we're ready for our second set. So abs are in, arms are pressing down into the floor, and we're going to extend the first leg out into the air. It's going to extend to about the height of the ankle, and then we lift it up to the height of the knee. So if you find it's really hard to control your back in this, that your back is just moving around a lot and it's hard to get that to stop, decrease the range of motion. So typically the back will lift more as the leg gets really low. So maybe today don't lower the leg quite as much. And we'll take just 2 more like this. And 1 more time. And we're ready to switch legs. So abs are in, and we extend the other leg out to the height of the ankle. It lifts to the height of the knee, and it lowers down. So I'm working hard on keeping my abdominals lifted and pulled in. My extended leg is straight, but if today that feels impossible, if you just don't feel that limber, this can also be done with a soft knee, with a soft knee. We'll take 2 more, and last time. And we are ready for our last set. So abs are in, and we're going to extend the leg out to the height of the ankle, lift it up to the height of the knee, and lower down and lift. So that's number 2. This is number 5. So we have 3 more. 7 and lift, and last time. Great, and now we're on to our last set. So we'll extend the other leg out to the height of the ankle, lift it up to the height of the knee, and lower down, and lift it up, and lower down. Lift it up, and lower, and we lift, and lower down, and lift up, and lower, lift, and lower. We'll take 3 more sets, and lower, 2, and lower, and last time, and lower. Bend the knee and rest. So for this one, we'll lie down on our side. I'm going to lie down on my right side first. The bottom knee is bent and the top leg is straight. So for this one, you want to make sure that your neck is relaxed. My neck is comfortable lying on my arm, but you could always, with a straight arm, but you could also bend your elbow. You could use a pillow under your head, but you want to make sure there's no tension in your upper body. Your abdominals are pulled in and your top leg is right in line with your torso. So your leg is not forward of the body, not behind the body, but right in line. And we're gonna lift this leg up a couple inches higher than the body and then lower it down. And lift it up and hold. And lower down. And lift this up and hold. And lower down. So in Pilates, we often refer to the torso as being a square box. So you want your shoulders stacked on top of each other, the hips stacked on top of each other. Sometimes when we're on our side, the chest starts to cave in. We're trying to keep everything open and lower down. We're going to take 3 more like this. Lift the leg up and lower down. We'll take 2 more. Lift it up and lower down. And 1 more time. Lift it up and lower down, and just relax the leg for a moment. So it's most common to feel this exercise in the glute medius, so that outermost glute muscle. You might just feel some general work in the top of the thigh here. That's to be expected. Abdominals are pulling in, and we're ready for set number 2. So we're gonna lift it up and hold, and lower down, and lift it up and hold. So we're trying to keep our hips pretty still. It's tempting to let the hips dip as the leg comes up, and then they lift as the leg goes down. So instead, we're just trying to keep the abdominals in and try not to do any shifting in the hips as they move. So we lift up and hold and lower down. We'll take just 2 more like this. Good, and 1 more time. And let the leg relax, let the shoulders relax. Make sure that you're not creating any tension in your face as you're getting tired. Make sure your jaw is relaxed, and we're ready for set number 3. So we lift the top leg up and lower down, and we lift it up and lower down. So I find it helpful to keep the abdominals pulled in here. It kind of helps keep everything in the torso lined up. So things for me are getting quite intense right now. My leg is starting to really burn. We have 3 more like this. 2, whew, and last time 1. Very good, and bend the knee. So I'm gonna sit up and move my head to the other end of the mat, but you could also just roll over to the other side so that we can do the leg lifts on the other side, or the leg raises, I think they're called. So the bottom knee is bent, and the top leg is straight in line with the torso. Chest is lifted, and we're ready to begin. We lift the top leg up and lower it down. So it's not a big movement. We're just lifting a little higher than the body, and lower, and lift it up and lower down, and we lift and lower and lift it up and lower. We're going to do 5 more like this, and lower. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and just rest the leg for a moment. So we're going to have 3 sets of 8 to 10 repetitions. So we're ready for set number 2. Abdominals in, extend that top leg out and lift it a little higher than your body, and lower down and lift it up. You may feel when doing this that there might be a click in your hip, or popping, something like that. If that happens, sometimes it's nice to just decrease the range of motion. So maybe it doesn't feel good to go all the way down to the floor. You can just hover around hip level and do a smaller range of motion. Sometimes that's a little more friendly on the hip. And we'll take just 1 more and lower all the way down. All right, we're ready for our last set. So the leg extends, abdominals are pulling in, and we lift the top leg up and lower down, and lift it up and lower down, and lift and lower and lift it up and lower down and lift and lower. We're going to go for 5 more and lower down, 4 and lower, 3, 2, and 1, and lower all the way down. Next, we'll move on to the leg press inward. So I'm going to use my purple ball, but you could also use a pillow or an exercise ring. In Pilates we call it a magic circle, but I'm going to put my pillow or my ball right between my knees, and my feet are about as wide as my hip bones, so they're not very wide at all, and I'm going to squeeze and release. So we squeeze and hold and release and squeeze and hold. And as you might have guessed, there are going to be 8 to 10 of these in 3 sets. And release and squeeze and hold and release and squeeze and hold and release. So you still want your abdominals pulling in this one, and release, squeeze and hold and release. Just 2 more, squeeze and release, and 1 more time and release. So this exercise is typically given to target the muscles of the inner thigh. Sometimes it's helpful to think about the placement of the feet when doing this exercise to really get the muscles on the inside working. So think of your big toes or the inner toes pressing down as you squeeze, and then keep those big toes pressing down as you release. So we'll squeeze and release and squeeze and release, squeeze and hold and release and squeeze and release, squeeze and release. These are getting so intense for me. Squeeze and release, and 1 more time, squeeze and release. So that was set number 2. We are almost ready for set number 3. So just take a moment to make sure the big toe or the inner toe is pressing down into the mat. Your gaze is looking up to the ceiling, and we squeeze and release and squeeze and release, squeeze and release, squeeze and release, squeeze and release, squeeze and release. We'll take just 2 more, squeeze and release, and 1 more time, squeeze and release. And those were the inward squeezes. Next we have our clamshells. I'm using a looped band around my thighs, but you don't have to use anything. I think the description that Chop gave of the leg position is the knees are bent a little bit. I think the position that I like is the knees are about at a 45-degree angle. So if the knees were right in line with the hips, it's sometimes done this way too. This is 90, but we're about halfway down, so 45. So we're going to squeeze the heels together and lift the top knee up and hold, and lower down, and lift it up and hold, and lower down, and lift it up and hold, and lower down, and lift up and hold, and lower down. So just a reminder, you want your neck to be relaxed. Definitely take time to make sure that the neck and the jaw are relaxed, shoulders are relaxed. So if you need to, use a pillow under your head. And release. And 1 more time, lift and release. So we'll rest for a moment. So my band is a yellow one, which is, this brand makes them, the yellow is the light one, but you could use any resistance level that you like. I'm going to squeeze the heels together again. Abs are pulling in. We're ready for set 2. Lift the top knee and lower down. So we're taking a little hold at the top and lower down, and lift up and hold, and lower down, lift up and hold, and lower down, lift up and hold, and lower down, and we lift and lower. We'll take just 2 more, lift up and hold, and lower, and 1 more time, and lower down. So like the other sideline exercises, typically this exercise is to target the outermost glute muscle, the glute medius. But you might feel some activity just generally at the top of the thigh. That's good. And we're ready for our last set. So squeeze the heels together and lift the top knee up and hold. And lower down. And lift up and hold. And lower down. And lift up and hold. And lower and hold. And lower down. Lift up and hold. And lower, we're nearing the end, lift up. And lower down. And lift up and hold. And lower down. And last time, lift up and hold. And lower. Well done. So now we're ready for the other side. You could just roll right over to the other side. I'm going to sit up and just swing my legs around to the other side. So your legs are bent at about a 45-degree angle. Abdominals are lifted and your tailbone to head are all in one line. So your torso is pretty straight. Abs are in, heels together, and lift the top knee and lower down. And lift the top knee and lower down. So frequently people ask me when we do the second side, they'll say, it's really strange, I feel my bottom leg. So I think that could be that the bottom leg was just working, so you could still be feeling the exercise from the first side. The other common comment that I get about this exercise is on the second side, the top leg starts to fatigue a little bit sooner. And I believe that's because on the first side you were balancing on it. So you were moving one leg and balancing on the bottom leg. So this top leg that's moving now has already been working. So we're gonna rest for a moment. Abs are in and we're ready for set 2. Squeeze the heels together and lift the top knee and lower down. And lift it up and lower down and lift and lower down and lift it up and lower down. That's it. Lift it up and lower and lift and lower. You just have 2 more. Lift it up and lower, and last time lift and lower. This is such a great exercise. It's very helpful for balance to have strong hips. Strong glute medius is helpful for balance, for walking, for running, for your knees, for your ankles. The hips are so important. Go ahead and lift the top knee up and lower down and lift it up and hold it and lower down, and we lift and lower down and lift up and lower, lift up and lower down, lift up and lower. We have just 2 more. Lift up and lower, and last time lift it up and lower. Well done. So those were our clamshells. We can take, if you had a looped band around your thigh, you can take it off now. And now we're ready for our plank. So to set up for the plank, we're going to do a forearm plank. So we're going to have our forearms down on the ground, and you want to set them up so that the forearms are parallel to each other, so they should look like a number 11. And you straighten one leg behind you and then the other leg. So we're going to try to hold this for 10 to 15 seconds. One of the hardest things I think about a plank is the head position. So you want your chin tucked up toward the ceiling so that the back of the neck is long. And we'll rest the knees down and sit back in child's pose for a moment. And we're ready for our second plank. So forearms are on the ground. We'll stretch one leg back and then the other, and we hold it here. Shoulders are down, abs are pulling in, knees are very straight, and we're gonna hold it here for another 5 seconds. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And lower the knees down and sit back. And our final plank. So we're on our forearms, we straighten one leg, and then the other. We're gonna hold this one for 15 seconds. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the knees down and sit back in child's pose. Next we have our side plank. So the alignment in the side plank is sometimes tricky to figure out. You're trying to have your elbow right underneath your top shoulder. Legs are going to be straight, and we're going to lift both hips up off the ground, and we're going to hold it here, you might have guessed, 10 to 15 seconds. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and rest for a moment. Abdominals are pulling in, and we're ready for set number 2. Go ahead and lift your hips up and hold here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. This is the last one. Abs are pulling in, and we're ready to straighten out the legs and hold it here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now we're ready for the other side, so you could just flip right over or bring your legs around to the other end of your mat. Okay, so we're trying to set up so that the elbow is right underneath the shoulder, abs are pulling in, and we're going to straighten out the knees, and we'll leave the top arm down on the legs. We're going to hold here for 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7. So we're trying to keep our box as square as can be. So hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked, and we'll rest the knees for a moment. Abs are pulling in, and we're ready to lift up again. Hold it here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and lower down. Abs are in, and here's our last set. Let's go ahead and lift up, hold it here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. Good. Let's go ahead and lie down on our backs. Next we have the Pilates hold. The feet are flat on the mat. The fingertips are reaching toward the heels. And we're going to float the arms up off the mat, lift the head, neck, and shoulders up, and hold the position. So we hold it here for 10, 9, you're trying to get your shoulder blades up off the floor, 8, 7, while keeping your chest open. So we're trying to get the shoulder blades off without rolling the shoulders forward. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and lower your head down. So we have 2 more sets. We lift the head, neck, and shoulders up and hold it here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and lower all the way down. And last time, go ahead and lift the head, neck, and shoulders up. Hold it here. So just a reminder, the height is we're trying to get the shoulder blades off the ground. So you're just about the height of the bottom tip of the shoulder blade is on the ground. The rest of the shoulder blade is off, and we lower all the way down. So next we have the wall sit. The last of the chop exercises is the wall sit. For the wall sit, I placed a mat underneath my feet so that my feet don't slide out from underneath me. You're trying to create 90-degree angles. So from the hips to the knee is one straight line, and then from the knees to the heels is another straight line. So we're gonna hold it here for 15 to 20 seconds. And then you can do 3 sets of wall sits. Good work, everyone. See you soon.